Welcome back to Constant Sports. This is your Friday 5 where we're going to break down the 5 most important stories we see shaping the industry at Constant Sports. And so we'll be talking media rights inflation in the NFL, Padel in the United States, athlete investing, Pickleball. Kevin Durant looks like he's stepping into the NIL waters at the University of Texas, and all things sports. And so if you're interested in the business side of sports, ownership, media, sports tech, sports investment, this is your spot. So here we go. NFL media rights price increase. We have new negotiations around the NFL media rights is showing that prices increases are coming, and ultimately those increases will likely be passed directly to us, the consumers, unfortunately. So the NFL already commands the most valuable media rights in sports. It's just an absolute giant behemoth in this space, and so the next wave of negotiations are going to push those numbers even higher and higher on streaming platforms, traditional broadcasts. They're really going to fight for the access that with this leagues have with the Fox, or the CBS, the ABC, all these guys trying to ESPN, trying to get in there. And so the key takeaway here we see at Constant Sports is the inflation is becoming more structural and sound as rates, fees, platforms recover these costs through higher subscription models. Unfortunately for us, the consumers, they're going to try to bundle those streaming packages and advertising. And so in other words, the NFL isn't just shaping the industry, they're going to shape the economics kind of going forward in the media system as a whole. So it'll be interesting to see with the NBA, MLB. MLB is a disaster with media rights, but that's another point. Moving on to story number 2. Racquet 360 raises $9 million for its Padel expansion. Quite the move here in the United States for Padel, as Padel has exploded globally, particularly in Europe, Latin America, and now we're seeing investors are betting big in the U.S. as the next major growth market. Racquet 360 operates across facilities, events, consumer products. Really, there's building an ecosystem inside Padel around the sport rather than just focus on one revenue stream, as we've been harping on for months now with these ecosystems. The Braves do it with, the hotel venue, the food, everything in one. Obviously, the media behind the Braves now. So a lot of people are doing this full ecosystem, and this move with Racquet 360 is showing kind of this early playbook we saw with Pickleball, where it's build the facilities and the community, and then scale the events, the products, all come around the sports as we've seen in Pickleball. So it'll be interesting to see if Padel has the same adoption across the United States as it continues to be one of the fastest rising participation sports here in the States. We have Nicholas Kyrgios invests in Pickleball club as a club operator, so staying in the Padel space. Nick signed an investment and sponsorship deal with the Picklr, one of the fastest growing pickleball facility operators. So for us, this deal shows how athletes are really emerging this new space in a new way. Instead of simply just being an endorser of the product of Picklr, of the sport, he's becoming an investor and really helping with the infrastructure behind it. So pickleball has already become one of the dominant sports, fastest growing sports in the U.S. And so we're seeing this continued rise, and real opportunity might just be in the professional leagues with MLP and others, but maybe in the facility networks, kind of these under market pickleball leagues and things. And so obviously the participation infrastructure is unlimited with the amount of people that could play it on different courts and around the United States. And so we're really seeing like the athletes who invest early in these platforms could really capture significant upside as far as kind of the surge. And it goes into our lead story in the Constant Sports report earlier with Jalen Smith putting $100,000 into Aura Ring, right? And now it's I think he 10x'd his money. It's goes to show what the athletes are doing. And then speaking in that vein, Kevin Durant launches an NIL program with Texas, so obviously a Texas alum there. So he's partnering with Texas to create an NIL initiative supporting Longhorn basketball players, and this is going to give Texas some more ammunition in their war chest. And the program will give select athletes access to Durant branded apparel and gear through Nike and his other company Boardroom. So interesting structure. Durant isn't just sponsoring athletes; he's kind of trying to build this pipeline, maybe into his own brand ecosystem with ambassadors, and as far as these athletes get up and come in. So former college stars have this massive credibility with the universities, as Durant does here, and he's trying to re-engage through NIL programs and create this mentorship opportunity, marketing leverage, and Texas has a massive recruiting advantage. So we'll see how this goes in the athlete ecosystem. Staying in the NIL space, I thought this was interesting as BYU athlete was forced to remove his Red Bull at a press conference. AJ Dybantsa, star BYU player, I think is a projected top 3 NBA pick coming up. playing in the Big 12 tournament, is at the podium, and he had a Red Bull can at the press game conference, and so Red Bull is not an official sponsor of said event, and so this had to be taken down. So this kind of highlights the fascinating tension in modern college sports, where athletes now have NIL rights, personal endorsement deals, but also teams, conferences, and media partners still operate under traditional sponsorship frameworks. And so conflicts like this are obviously going to be inevitable, but they are kind of a new ecosystem, a new part of the way as NIL emerges. Leagues and conferences are going to have to figure out how to balance these athlete brand rights with their own institutional sponsorship opportunities. Very fun story, but very cool space to be in. And so that's this week's Constant Sports Friday 5. So we covered the NFL media economics, the rise of Padel, Pickleball, infrastructure investing, Kevin Durant jumping into the NIL waters, and then the college brand conflicts in college sports. And so that's been, like I said, another week. And if you're interested in building, creating, talking sports business, feel free to hit us up, constantsports@co.com. We're all over LinkedIn, everywhere else. So we'll see you guys next week.